Would you pray with me? Holy God, we thank you that we can come together in this community and that you've blessed us with the ability to work together and provide us with our elected officials and our city employees. And God, I pray that you bless the folks in this room as they lead this community. Bless them with wisdom and discernment. It's in Christ's name that we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I now call the regular city council meeting to order. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda. Second? Second. Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried, 5-0. Number 5, public forum limited to agenda items only.
Zach Collett. I would just like to, after the last meeting when we discussed City Code 1-311, after that meeting, I went and read that city code, and I'd like to read that aloud for council and for everyone in the public that's here. City Code 1-311 says that city attorney shall attend meetings of the governing body when so directed to attend by the governing body. I interpret this to mean that the city attorney is only required to be here when council tells him to be. By only reading half of that statement, council and the public only receive half of that information, which caused needless argument and needless suspension of city code. This is misleading and causes unwarranted scrutiny and mistrust from the public when they read it in our newspaper every week. My only hope is that the city council will maintain a trust but verify attitude. By that I mean trust what your city councilors and your appointed officials are saying, but please take the time to verify what they're saying is accurate. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried, 5-0. Introduction of our new city attorney and legal team. Brian.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, council, for the appointment. We greatly appreciate it. For all of you that obviously don't know, my name is Brian Bina. I'm the managing member of Carstetter and Bina. We submitted, pursuant to the RFQ that came out from the city, our application, if you will, for this appointed position. I have with me today Margot Pickering, who's an associate attorney in my office, as well as Zachary Strella, who's another attorney in our office. We do have 2 other attorneys on staff, Mr. Tim Carstetter and William Gasenius. It's our hope to be able to assist the city as the city needs moving forward. We're very happy and excited to be part of this.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming. Anybody have any questions of them?
I have one. You guys still have that little Jeep?
Believe it or not, my mom does, and I don't think you could afford it at this point.
Jerry, what were you gonna do with the Jeep?
Yeah.
It's a good toy, I mean, it's a little.
Oh.
It's a little electric
Oh,
Jeep
okay.
that is kind of notorious, I suppose.
Okay, now who will be attending meetings when we need them?
Yeah, so if there's any regular business, Mr. Strella will be at the meetings to handle issues. Unfortunately for myself, I have 4 kids, 6 and under, and they require pickup at 5:30 on Mondays, so I have to get back in time to do that.
Okay.
However, if there are incredibly complicated issues or matters that would be best suited to have me here, we'll make arrangements for that,
Okay.
so the council won't have to change anything. And then it's our intention that Ms. Pickering will handle city prosecution and municipal court matters.
Okay. Well, I understand you do have a pickup, so you're welcome to go ahead and leave if you need to.
I appreciate that greatly. Thank you much.
Thank you for coming.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Agenda item number 8, amendment to KMIT interlocal agreement. Roger?
Okay. The Kansas Municipal Insurance Trust is who we have our workers' compensation insurance through. Since we're a municipal pool trust, each member has a vote whenever topics come up. We've been talking for the last several months regarding the option of health insurance being part of the offering. They did have enough cities that were interested in desiring to go ahead and launch that plan. So on the 10th, which is before our next council meeting, I need to represent this governing body and vote. Are we okay with the amendments to the existing agreement? And those amendments were highlighted in your package that indicates a separate fund or funds will be established in connection with the Association Health Plan Program and will be utilized for collection of all funds received in connection with that program. Premium services, all of that, so forth. So basically what they're doing is requesting to amend the original agreement, and I included in the packet the breakdown of how KMIT will work in the future. Basically, what we've been accustomed to with all of our workers' compensation all remains the same. They'll stand up another arm of the organization that will handle all of the health insurance moving forward. It is the recommendation of your staff that we vote to approve this agreement because it just didn't work out financially for this renewal. But the door is open for the future if it makes sense for us to become part of the larger pool.
Right.
Then it would be out there.
Okay.
So this evening, we're just looking for a motion of instruction on how you would like me to vote at this upcoming meeting. It's not going to be an in-person meeting, we're going to do it electronically through Zoom.
I'll make a motion to amend the KMIT interlocal agreement. Second. Second. Is there any further discussion or questions? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Number 9, employee appreciation Christmas event / bonus. Tiffany?
Somehow I have been designated to speak on behalf of all of our employees. One of the suggestions that came up when we had our employee retention discussions and stuff with our employees was a Christmas event, whether it be a dinner, lunchtime, or Christmas bonuses. So what I did was I sent a poll out to our employees to see what their thoughts were, what do they expect of the council for an event like that. And so the results that came back, the most favorable option was a Christmas bonus to all of our full-time employees. Little side note there, we do have 25 full-time employees, and so if council wished to approve that, the dollar amount would have to be determined by council, so the financial cost of that is currently undetermined until council decides what amount they wish to provide the employees with for that. The second suggestion that came back was an employee dinner that would happen on a weekday for all of our full-time employees at noon at one of our local restaurants, so that we didn't have any employees that would have to set up, serve the food, tear down, clean, everything. So that way everybody can enjoy the meal. And we thought with it being a local restaurant, that helps out the city as well. So there was that, and then with that, it was kind of a two-part. They suggested having that lunch at noon and then having the remainder of that day off. So those were the two suggestions that our employees came back with. Now we're just looking to council to see if that's something that, you guys are in favorable of, or what your suggestions are.
Okay.
Do you have any idea how much a dinner would cost for the, well, I assume if it's just, is it just the employees or spouses?
It would just be the full-time employees, because they asked for it to be at the noon hour, so it would just be our 25. I kind of did, some rough estimating, I would say, I think probably $20 a plate is probably a lot more than we would need, but that would include like a pop instead of water, and then the meal. And so that came out to $500. And the rest of the day off isn't any additional cost to the city because we're already paying our employees if they were to work as well, so. Just two options that we had come up with.
Does this include like Janet Martyr at the library and firefighters?
It would only include Janet because she's the only full-time employee at the library. The firefighters are just volunteers, so they are not full-time.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else?
Sometimes office parties, office dinners aren't the most favorable thing for someone to spend the holiday time doing. I guess I'd be more in favor of giving some kind of bonus and dinner or lunch or.
I agree, there's only $20 per meal, that's not much of a, if we give them a bonus, they could go out, take their spouse or whatever out for a dinner.
I know in the past when I was city administrator, we did, I think $100 per employee for a Christmas bonus. And I would suggest that. $100 isn't a lot, isn't a whole lot, but it's helpful to them during the Christmas time. And, I would suggest that we probably do that. So,
I do remember, we were talking in the office just to, what we've done in the past, and I think since I've been city clerk, I've processed just one Christmas bonus in the last 7 years, to our employees, and I know at that time, I think we got $100, and then they take taxes out of it, of course, so you get like $88 and some cents. But I know we can kind of work it, like if we did $125, and then, we take taxes out of that, that way the employees get $100. Or, and it just depends on their tax deductions and all that too, though.
Roger, how would that affect anything as far as, where would we take that out of?
It
Each
should just come out
department?
of the payroll account for each department.
Okay, and that wouldn't be an issue?
Currently, we have none of the payroll centers trending above budget, so.
Could we just do like a, let's just say it's $100 a net? You're gonna have different amounts taken out of each employee's paycheck, aren't you? Cause some of them maybe have two, and some people may just claim one person. So, well, I would make a motion that we, give our employees a $100 net Christmas bonus. And that would be at the, when would we wanna do that? A specific date, payroll date?
So, we get paid,
Tiffany, that was the first request, most of the requests was a bonus, okay.
yeah, that was the most favorable, yeah. So we get paid on the Wednesdays following council meetings, so we actually get paid 3 times in December, the way it falls. This week's payroll's already processed into the bank, so we can't add anything on there, so the other pay dates would be December 15th and then December 29th.
15th. Add the 15th to the motion. Now, do I hear a second? And we'll discuss.
Second.
Okay. Discussion? Is it a nightmare to do it with saying it's net?
A little bit.
Can you do it, can you figure it out, or?
No, yeah, no, absolutely, we can figure it out. It just takes a little bit of figuring, to get it done, but
Okay,
I can get that accomplished.
okay.
Well, if we do it covering federal taxes, social security, and state taxes, then whatever other benefits or deductions, so forth, that the employee has based on our cafeteria benefits would be excluded from the calculation.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that way, it's the same amount to every employee.
Okay,
And
Okay.
if it's someone who has a large number of the cafeteria benefits, they may have slightly less than that.
okay.
But it's because it's their decision of how we elected to utilize our benefits. So that would be my recommendation if that's acceptable.
Yeah, and we do have the availability, how do I put it, it's more or less a separate check on their payroll. So they would get paid for their timesheet, and then they would get a separate check for that bonus. So it would be
That
two,
makes sense.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes it a little more meaningful for the employee,
Yeah,
it doesn't just get
not just
swallowed up.
stop
Yeah.
Let's call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried, 5-0.
Thank you, council, I know our employees will appreciate that.
Okay. Number 10, city code discussion. I have some paperwork on that again. At our last meeting, Councilor Herbert, you brought up, in regards to City Code 1-311, that was addressed earlier, that the city attorney shall attend all meetings of the governing body, and that is not correct. It goes on to state that when so directed to attend by the governing body. So, I'm somewhat perplexed as why you didn't read the whole.
I did read, because I've got it right here ahead of me, and I read the whole thing. And you can go back and look at the video if you care to.
I did.
But what I thought was, it says the city attorney shall, and shall means mandatory.
I did go back and watch the video, and that's not what you said.
I was thinking somebody else brought that up, but I could be wrong. I don't remember for sure, because
Well, you're-
I seem to remember someone saying that, but I don't know who.
Well, I know that, it caused us to have to change the city code, or suspend it for 90 days, and misinformation like that is not a good thing for this council. And as Mr. Collett pointed out, it's gonna cause us to have to research every single thing that's brought before this council. I mean, this isn't the first time that something like this has happened. You know, in the past, you shared inaccurate information with the League of Kansas Municipality attorney in regards to the, industrial park. You know, informing him that the county gave us that land, and that is absolutely not true.
No.
We bought that land. That's how he made his determination.
No, that's an untrue statement. I talked to Mr.
Yeah, it was an untrue statement, that's for sure.
Well, what I read was his email, and then I asked him to send me a copy of what I had asked him. And there was nothing in there that said the county had given us that land.
You stated that he said we could not replat the industrial park because the county gave us that land.
But Dave, I think you're a little bit unfair. I think you should have given me a heads up so I could have brought that information.
Well, you know what, you don't give us a heads up when you bring this kind of stuff to the council meeting, and that needs to stop. That needs to stop right now. You also inaccurately reported covenants on Dollar General Corporation. You came to this council meeting and you reported that Dollar General had a covenant in the entire industrial park, that another dollar store couldn't come in there, when in fact that's not true at all. That covenant states it only applies to section 1, and where Family Dollar was gonna go was in section 2. There's no covenant that Dollar General has for section 2 and section 3. And you quoted that contract stating that they had a covenant for the entire industrial park. And then, you know, I've got somewhat of an issue when you cited that Mark Chesney had provided information to you regarding that the city was setting aside $200,000 a year for 10 years, and that we had spent that $2 million on something else. And we checked with Mark Chesney, and Mark Chesney said he's never told anybody that. He's never talked to you, he's never talked to anyone in regards to the city budget. He has no knowledge whatsoever about $200,000 a year being set aside. We do set aside $200,000 a year to purchase equipment to continue the 12-5 line.
Did we set aside 200,000 this year for 2020?
I'm sorry, what?
Did we set aside the 200,000 this year for the 2022 budget?
Sure, we do it every year, right?
It's budgeted, it has not been spent.
It's a budget item.
We have been buying transformers for this conversion throughout this year. And again, that project starts December 6th.
Did you talk to Mr. Chesney personally?
No, I did not, Dave.
Who did you talk to then that told you this?
I think that's a little bit of misinformation, because I assumed that since we set aside the 200,000 per year, and this was started in '98, that the money would be there.
You stated in the meeting that Mark Chesney said that we were putting back $200,000.
I don't think I stated that, no.
Yeah, you did. You can go back and look at that video,
I will.
because he certainly said that. But I'm just saying, given the nature of these misrepresentations and misleading actions, I'm instructing the city staff to bring copies of the city code, zoning regulations, personnel policy manual, financial policy manual, and access to state statutes as they need it. And additionally, the council's not gonna take any more actions on anything such as what you bring before the council unless it's validated.
Okay.
And it has to be validated. So if you're gonna bring something before the council in the future, you need to let Roger know to put it on the agenda so it be researched before the meeting on Monday.
Okay.
Having said all of that, I will make a motion that we reinstate City Code 1-311. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Then moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, those opposed, same sign. Motion carried 5-0. Number 11, councilor reports. Anyone wish to address anything?
Would you clarify the statement that was made last council meeting that says Mayfield moved to instruct staff to create revision to personnel policy for the creation of a 20% utility discount incentive for employees? Is that just within the city limits?
Yes.
Okay. And Janet Marlowe will be included in this, you
Yes.
think? Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else? Department reports. Clinton?
Got nothing.
Margo?
We had a fun day Saturday, a lot of people out and about, and we had pretty much 12 hours worth of activities going on. It takes a lot of people to make all that happen, and I think people had a lot of fun. I think businesses had good days, and people were shopping, and there was a lot of just encouraging things going on, so, yeah, very pleased, and appreciate everybody's help.
All right, good thing.
Nothing further.
Roger?
Just an update, the water tower rehabilitation is full on, they're up there working on it. Again, it's a complete rehab of the structure, they'll take care of the roof, the issues there, take off the antennas, all of the work that you desire is underway. And again, with the money that we received from the American Rescue Plan, it's covering the vast majority of the project.
Yay. Were the vultures already gone?
Oh, no, they're still around.
Are they just flying around in the circle?
Yeah, they're not going anywhere, they're still around.
I thought maybe they left for the
They all
winter.
sit down behind my house, so I can tell you. They're still here.
I think I saw some of the trees across from my house too.
Roger, did they replace the valves you were talking about? I think at the last meeting, that they'd have to shut it down for
They did it,
4 hours or
to
something.
my knowledge, it was performed while the school was out of session last week.
Okay. Okay. Public forum, number 12.
Gary Newfeld, EBH, just want to give you a quick water project update. We weren't on the agenda tonight, figured I'd wait till this session. We're one service short of being done with the project. We have one service still to hook up. We're waiting on a bacteria test to come back, before we can hook it up. Happens to be clear on the south end of Global Freeborn loop that we put in. As soon as that one is done, we will be 100% on the new system, new valves, new fires, new services, everything will be done. We still are replacing street patches, and that's what you see a lot of stuff going on. Elm Street's back open over the weekend. That intersection and all the patches in it for the project are done. They're currently, in fact, today they poured the west curb and valley gutter at Marion Manufacturing. Tomorrow they'll pour the east curb and valley gutter, and hopefully pour the main line Thursday, so in a week that'll be back open. Everything,
Can I interrupt?
yes,
Will Coble be open for the home tours coming up this weekend?
no,
It won't,
no,
or Welch?
no. Coble and Welch will be closed at least for another 10 days. Yeah.
You're looking just with
So, yeah, and we still have, if you'll see, still have cones up that we gotta go back and fix either curb or small street patches. We're gonna be doing mostly on South Hill of what's left. I do wanna make sure it gets put in that, throughout the next year, anytime we find that there's settlement or something in yards, please report it to either the city or EBH, and we'll make sure to get it on the list, and the contractor will come back and get those filled. Some of these areas, especially ones that have been done this fall, we might not get settlement until the spring thaw. So it very well could be that we have to come back in, have Charlie come back in March, April, May, and bring some more dirt back in and hit some of the spots. So we know that's gonna happen.
Yeah, so that means there won't be no seeding then?
Right now, we're not planning on putting more seeding down until the spring. He'll come back in any spot that didn't get seed. Right. We could put it down now, but it's not gonna germinate until spring anyway, so